Recording in progress.
Okay, today we're going to do Daf Mem Aleph Ahmed Aleph. We're going to speak about the din of eating Korban Pesach. So the issue to eat Korban Pesach half cooked. Says the Gemara just at the bottom of the Mem Aleph Ahmed Aleph, all the way at the bottom. Rabbi said, "Achlu no." The person eats the Korban Pesach half cooked. Like a shnaim, he gets double malchus, meaning he gets malchus once for eating it raw, and there's another iser for, it says ki'im tzdiyesh, it has to be completely roasted on a fire. So since it wasn't completely roasted on a fire, you get double malchus. If you eat Korban Pesach cooked, like a shnaim, you also get double malchus. Why? One for eating it cooked, and another one for the iser of it wasn't roasted on fire. Says the Gemara, no, if you cook the Korban Pesach and if it was half cooked, so like a shalish, you get 3 times malchus. One for being cooked, one for it being half edible, and the third time for the iser of ki'im tzliyesh, which is a general iser. Abai says no. You don't get malchus for the iser of ki'im tzliyesh because it's called a lav b'chlalos. The lav b'chlalos means that a person, there's certain lavim which aren't a specific thing. For example, the Torah says you have to eat the Korban Pesach roasted on fire. Eating the Korban Pesach roasted on fire includes a whole bunch of different details. It includes that it has to be cooked, and it includes that it has to be roasted, and it includes that it has to be completely cooked. It includes a whole bunch of different details. So Rabbi says you don't get malchus for a lav which has a whole bunch of different details, and therefore in our case, if you eat the Korban Pesach raw, half raw, and you also ate it cooked, so you only get malchus double, and you don't get for the lav of it being on fire because that's a general lav, and you don't get malchus for that. That's one thing Abai says. Some people said no. Lucky, chada mia lucky. Some people say that lucky, meaning if you get malchus twice, so then you don't get malchus a third time. Meaning if you ate it raw and you ate it half, if you ate it raw and you ate it cooked, so then you don't get the extra thing of ki'im tzliyesh. But if there is no other lav, meaning you cooked it in the chamer tver, like we said yesterday, that if you cook in the chamer tver, you don't get is, you don't get malchus for it being cooked because it's not cooked. So you only get malchus once. Chadamir, you only get malchus once because you only have the issue of ki'im tzliyesh. The only thing you're doing over here is you're not doing a lav of not being cooked because it's not cooked. On the other hand, it's not roasted on fire. So you get malchus for the lav and not being roasted on fire. Okay, so we have machlekes over here whether we get malchus for ki'im tzliyesh. In general, the first opinion says that you never get malchus, and the second opinion says that if that's the only time that's the only issue you're doing, you do get malchus. Yeah, same thing about it. One second, I just lost the place. Yeah. So some people say no. You also don't get once, meaning you never get malchus for lav shebachal. The loy, why? Because the miyachid lave kalav the chasima. Because since Torah never specified what's usher exactly, Torah just said just roast it on fire. Torah never told you don't cook it. When Torah said roast it on fire, Torah never specified exactly what the isurim are included in it being roasted on fire. Torah just said either Korban Pesach roasted on fire, even though that includes not cooked, and even though that includes half cooked, and even though that includes a bunch of different things, but Torah never specified. So the second opinion says that since Torah never specified, you don't get malchus. So we have two opinions over it. Either you get malchus for lav shebachalalos. If you do it by itself, you're doing a malchus. The second opinion says that even if you do it by itself, you do not get malchus. The Gemara is going to bring out a different example where we see this musik of lav shebachalalos. The Amar because Rabbi said, Achal zog, if a person gabe a nazir is usher to eat wine, to drink wine. There's a whole bunch of different psukim that speak about the isser of a nazir. You can't eat. The Torah says don't eat wine, don't drink wine. The Torah also said don't eat grape peels. The Torah also said don't eat grape pits. So if you have a nazir, Rabbi says that if a nazir sha'achal zog, the nazir that ate the peels of grapes. So Leikish time he gets Malchus twice. Why does he get Malchus twice? Number one, it says in the pasuk Zog Le'yacha, you shouldn't eat any peels. And number two, it says in the pasuk Mikala Sheyasim Yegefen Ayam, whatever comes from grapes should not be eaten. So this Nazir did two isurim by eating the grape peels. Number one, he ate grape peels, which it says clearly in Torah not to eat the grape peels. And another lavi was over is anything which comes from grapes you shouldn't eat, which is specified in Torah again. So therefore he gets Malchus twice. What if he eats chaytzon? If he eats the grape pits, the pips of the grapes, like Yishnaim, he also gets Malchus twice. Number one, because it says in the pasuk michadson v'adzog, don't eat any pits. And number two, it says in the pasuk anything that comes from grapes you shouldn't eat. So again, we see that you could do one thing and be over twice. What if you eat zog v'chadson? What if you ate both together? You ate the peels and you ate the pits. Like a shalosh, you get 3 times malchus. Number one, for eating the pits. Number two, for eating the peels. And number three, from anything that the general is of anything that comes from wine, don't eat. That's Rava's shita. Abaye says no. You don't get malchus for the isser of anything that comes from wine. Don't eat, because that isser is a general isser. The pasuk that says anything that comes from wine shouldn't be eaten for a nazir doesn't specify what comes from wine. It just says anything that comes from grapes should not be eaten. And since that's a lav shebachlalos, Abaye says if you would eat the grape peels and you would eat the pits together, you only get malchus twice, because you do not get the malchus for eating anything that comes from wine. So here we see the machlekes of if you like in lav shebachlalos or ain't like in lav shebachlalos. And over here also we have the argument of what exactly the shita that says that you don't ain lake and lav shebachlalos says two opinions. Ikadami, some people say tarti hudulei lucky, meaning when on you lake lav shebachlalos, if you ate the pits and you ate the peels, so you also if you lake it twice, then you don't get a third time malchus. But if you only are over the issue of eating grapes with if you only eat grapes in a way that you're not eating the peels and you're not eating the pits, for example, it actually says if you eat the twigs of the grapes or you eat other parts of the tree that isn't part of the actual grape. So even though you weren't over on eating the pits and you weren't over on eating the peels, but on the other hand, you still ate something that comes from grapes. So in that case, you would be like, because you're not that issue is not coming together with any other issue. But another opinion says no. Even if you're going to eat the grapes in Eifen in a way that the only way to be over the Isser, the only Isser you're being over now is the Isser of eating anything that comes from a grape tree, which is a general Isser. Even then, the second opinion says you're not like it. Just like by eating the Korban Pesach, we have this argument. If a person eats the Korban Pesach if a person eats the Korban Pesach in a way that he's not over in any other thing, says in Pasuk. For example, he eats the Korban Pesach cooked in the Chamei Tveria, which is not over on it being cooked, because we said before Chamei Tveria doesn't cook. He's only being over on Kims Di'esh. So there's machlekes whether he's like or not. So to buy a nazir, there's machlekes where if he just eats the grape in a way that's he's not being over in any other son, with the machlekes whether he gets a malchus for that or not. Okay, so we're done with that. So yeah, it's a very big subject in general. Over here we just touched on it a little bit. Says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanan, a new piece. Tana Rabbanan, we learned like this. Someone who ate acha kazayis, no. If a person ate a kazayis of the Korban Pesach, half cooked. When did he eat it? He ate it on Be'edim. He ate it before the night of Tezvav. He ate it before Leil Pesach. So the din is, the din is will be pot. So yeah, acha kazayis no Be'edim. Pot is pot. What if you ate kazayis not mishachashecha? If you ate the kazayis of raw half-cooked meat when it gets dark, meaning once it's little Pesach, so then he's chayiv malchus. Why? Because it says in the pasuk, al techel benuna. What if achal kazayis slim b'edim? If you ate the kazayis of Korban Pesach while it's still day, meaning before the time it's supposed to be eaten, you ate it roasted. So the din is like pasal atzum nechabur. He can still eat the kazayis of the Korban Pesach by night, because since he ate it too early, so he has to eat it again. What if you ate kazayis slim mishachashecha? If you ate a kazayis of Korban Pesach roasted when it got dark already, meaning already came the time for him to eat Korban Pesach and he didn't eat it with the chaburi, he just ate his own portion by himself. So then, pasal atzmei in the chaburi, he passed himself from eating it together with the group, because since he was already yotzei chiyuv Korban Pesach, so then he was he can't eat it again. Tanya Idach, another brisa says, Yachel achal kazayis nami beid yom. Would you think? What if you eat the kazayis of Karban Pesach, half cooked on Erev Pesach before the time came, would you be chayiv? Why would I think you'll be chayiv? Dino, because I'll make a kavacheme. Ma b'shash yeshna kum b'kum echel tzli yeshna b'bal teicha. No, if in the time that it says clearly in the pasuk you have to eat it roasted, meaning there's a chiyuv to eat it roasted. So then Torah also specified that not only has the chiyuv to be eaten roasted, has to also be make sure it's not cooked. When Torah says don't eat Karban Pesach in general, which is Erev Pesach, we're going to see soon, there's the issue to eat the Karban Pesach in general, so that for sure includes not that you shouldn't eat the Karban Pesach cooked. So therefore, you'll get malchus for eating the Karban Pesach cooked. Again, the Kavachim is if from the time Torah says there's a specific din to roast the Karban Pesach. Torah said no, Torah specified. Not only do you have to roast, you have to make sure it's not cooked. When Torah says in general don't eat the Karban Pesach, for sure Torah says that it shouldn't be cooked. Are you like, or do we say no? I could say a different svar. The b'shash einu b'kom echad tzli yeshnu b'al teichana. B'shash yeshnu b'kom echad tzli einu b'al teichana. I could say that the other way. Only when Shasha Eina B'kum Echel Tzli, if there is no mitzvah to roast it, meaning it's before the time of Karban Pesach, so then Yashna B'Bat Techana, then you have to then there's the issur of don't need to come half raw. Shasha Yashna B'kum Echel Tzli. But if there's a issur, there's a chiyuv not to roast it, so maybe the chiyuv not to roast it takes out of the issur of don't need to have cooked, and therefore you won't be like it. You're gonna ask me about Tisma. Don't ask me a question. Don't wonder in this, because it makes sense. Because I could say that with that which Torah said on my Pesach by night to eat the Karban Pesach, Torah said that even though on our Pesach was completely usher to eat it raw and to eat it half raw and roasted, it was completely usher. When Torah said by night to eat the Karban Pesach, Torah took it out of the issur of eating it half raw. I mean, even on the Karban Pesach and on Erev Pesach it was usher completely. And when Torah said to eat it by night, Torah meant to eat it roasted by night, but Torah took it out of the issur of eating a half raw. So therefore, I'll be like on Erev Pesach, but I won't be like by Pesach by night. So Talmud Lemar, so can I say that? Talmud Lemar, so the extra pasuk that tells you Al Tercham Mimenu Na Ubashim Uvushim Amayim Kim Tzliyesh. Shein Talmud Lemar Kim Tzliyesh. Why does Torah repeat that you have to don't eat it half raw, it has to be roasted on the fire? Ma Talmud Lemar Kim Tzliyesh. What does the words Kim Tzliyesh come to teach us? Lemar comes to tell you like this: Shash Yeshna B'Kum Echad Tzli. When there's a chiyuv to eat it roasted, Yeshna B'Al Tercham Na. Then there's a chiyuv not to eat it half cooked. Not to eat half cooked, but if there's no chiyuv to eat it roasted, so then you don't get malchus for eating a half cooked. Okay, so the habit of the Gemara was that Erev Pesach is completely usher. We're going to see in a second why. Erev Pesach is completely usher to eat the meat of Karban Pesach, and therefore if you eat it half cooked, so you'll get malchus. By night, when Torah said you could eat it roasted, so maybe Torah took it out of the issur of eating a half cooked, because once Torah's matter something, maybe it would matter completely. Talmud Lemar, therefore have extra. The pasuk teaches no. When is the issur tita half cooked? The pasuk teaches us tita half cooked is only when you chayv to roast it. The extra words v'kim tzliyesh, when you chayv to roast it. That's when Torah tells you the chiyuv of not eating half cooked is together with the chiyuv of roasting together. Mashiach, if you eat the Karban Pesach on Erev Shabbat, on Erev Pesach, even though it's half cooked, you will not be like it. That's one makom. Rabbi says no. I have a different pasuk to teach you. Ekra ani, I'll teach you a different pasuk. It says in the pasuk ubashel. Yes, in the pasuk ubashel mavushel. That the Pesach has to be cooked. Mata malay mavushel. If Torah just wants to tell you that the Karban Pesach should not be cooked, why say ubashel mavushel? Says the Gemara like this: it's to teach us the actual Russian teachers ein shiyachal ein liela bishom bishna mishachashecha. Maybe only chai if you cooked it when it got dark already. If you cooked in Erev Pesach, so then minayin, how do we know you still like Talmud Lemar? We have that's what the pasuk comes to tell us. Bashal mavushal. Extra lashon become makom. The Karban Pesach should never be cooked, even though you never cooked it by night. You cooked in Erev Pesach, it doesn't matter. You cannot eat the Karban Pesach which is cooked. Says the Gemara, how can you learn that out from Bashal mavushal? We learned already yesterday. V'hai Bashal mavushal afke Rabbi b'tzli kador. Well, Shamash, we said yesterday we already used the words of Bashar Mavusha for a different limud to teach us the Korban Pesach cannot be cooked with juices, or the Korban Pesach cannot be cooked on a pan. So how can you use the words again to teach us that Bashar Mavusha means that even you can't even cook the Korban Pesach on Erev Pesach? So the Gemara in Cain, if the pasuk is only to teach us that you can't cook the Korban Pesach with juices, Leimakra, the pasuk could say, Bashal Bishal B'mayim. If the Torah uses a double lashon, it doesn't have to say Bashal Mavushal. Torah can say Bashal Bishal, Mavushal Mavushal. My Bashal Mavushal. Why does Torah say two separate lashonos, one of Bashal and one of Mavushal? Alashmamina, Torah teach us two different drushes. The first thing is to teach us that it cannot be cooked on with juices. And the second thing is to teach us that it cannot be cooked on Erev Pesach either. So now we're going to speak about the Isser of eating Korban Pesach on Erev Pesach. Learn the Bryce like this. Achal, if a person eats a kazayas of tzlima b'yom, a person eats a kazayas of Erev Pesach on Erev Pesach while it's still day, chayev is chayev malchus. Why? Because we're going to see in a second. Just a second. Yeah, achal tzlima b'yom chayev. So too, a kazayas not mishachashecha. So too, if you eat a kazayas of Korban Pesach half raw when it gets dark, chayiv, you're chayiv. Says the Gemara, Ktani Tzli, we learned the Isser of eating the Korban Pesach. That which Korban Pesach has to be, if you eat the Isser of eating Korban Pesach roasted the nerve Yom Tov, is dumya, is similar to the Isser of eating it half raw. Mano belav, just like eating it half raw. By night is a lav, af tzlim belav, even so to eating it half raw by day, so to eating it roasted by day is a lav. Says the Gemara, what does that mean? Bishlema no, to eat a half raw by night. It says in Klarim Pasuk, the Chesiv says in Pasuk, Ateichel menu no. Elat tzlimun, where's the marker that you can't eat the Korban Pesach roasted by day on Erev Pesach? Answers the Gemara, the Chesiv, because it says in Pasuk, V'achla sabasa v'layla zeh, you should eat the meat by this night. So the Pasuk lines out, B'layla in. The fact that Torah says Achel Basa Balayla zeh, you should eat the Korban Pesach dafka by night, is to teach us that by day, if you eat it, you are over on a lav. And since it's a teacher, since we don't have for the even a lav, that's where you get malchus from eating the Korban Pesach by day as opposed to eating it by night. Okay, we're gonna stop over here because the next two lines are a new piece. Tomorrow we're finishing I don't know when the shooting me tomorrow, but tomorrow we're finishing the Perek of Kol Shah. We're starting the Perek of Elo Avnim. Have a good night.